Hey, what's going on? My name is Henry and this is Breakable Program. Today we're going to be talking about the T-Mobile and Sprint merger and what exactly 5G is. On April 29th, John Legere, the CEO of T-Mobile, and Marcelo Claure, the CEO of Sprint, both were in a video explaining that they are merging Sprint and T-Mobile together under the name T-Mobile. In the video, they were discussing the benefits of the merger, like creating more robust competition in broadband, where they say that 51% of Americans only have one option for their broadband option. Specifically, they talked about focusing on bringing more internet options to rural America. The US has a very limited number of options for high-speed internet even in larger cities, so they want to bring more options not only to larger cities but also bringing that same competition to rural parts of the US. The way they are going to be bringing that competition is by focusing on the new upcoming 5th generation of cellular internet, 5G. They stated that 1 in 10 Americans already use cellular internet as their only means of access to the internet. I'm not sure how true that statement is, but I wouldn't imagine it being too far off from the truth. So focusing on improving cellular data and bringing that to rural America could be an incredibly big opportunity for the company. I want to explain what all this means for consumers and for America in general. Back in 2010, 4G was just starting to launch and internet plans were at the beginnings of increasing. Today we have unlimited plans with high-speed data caps as large as 27 gigabytes. And some analysts say that the creation and innovation of 4G was a cause of millions of jobs in America and billions of dollars to America's GDP. It basically means that 4G was a big boon to America's economy. Now the new generation is starting to come with some projections saying that 5G is going to become commonplace between 2020 and 2025, and this was a major point of the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. The new T-Mobile wants to become the pioneer of the 5G network, and they already invested money into making sure that that is something in their grasp. Back in June 14, 2017, T-Mobile invested in buying the 600 MHz spectrum license from the FCC. Along with this purchase and the recent merger with Sprint, they have a lot of assets under their belt that they want to use in order to build the 5G network. And just to explain what exactly 5G is, I want to compare the jump from 3G to 4G. The G's just represent the current generation of network compatibility on your phone. Most phones nowadays are 4G, but in 2012, 3G was still very commonplace. The biggest difference between the different generations is the speed that the data can be transferred. 3G started out with speeds of 384 kilobytes per second, but when 4G entered the scene, it started out with 5 megabytes per second. And just so you can understand that leap, there are 1,000 kilobytes in every megabyte. However, that was just the initial launch of each generation. Near the end of 3G, the top speeds that it could climb to was 7 megabytes per second, which is impressive considering where it started out, but with 4G speeds now, you can get up to 12 megabytes per second. So 4G is still better, and it also offers higher capacity so you can download and upload more without overworking the systems. 5G isn't out yet and there aren't any 5G phones as of yet, but projections show that 5G could potentially have speeds up to 20 gigabytes per second. The conversion is 100 megabytes for every 1 gigabyte. That's more than 1,500 times faster than the average speeds we have now on 4G. The average internet speed in America is just under 20 megabytes per second. That's not just on wireless, that includes wired connections as well. But those are just projections. Projections for 3G showed that it could reach speeds up to 20 megabytes per second, and they never came close to that. So I don't know if we will ever reach that 20 gigabytes per second on 5G, but I could imagine reaching speeds over 1 gigabyte per second, which would be a massive increase to what we have now. 5G also offers increased capacity and extremely low latency below 1 millisecond. The trade-off for all this speed and capacity is the lowered range that 5G would offer. Today we have cell towers that can reach maximum distances as far as 22 miles away, but 5G would have a much smaller radius of effect since you need a higher frequency in order to emit that amount of data through the air. 5G is really exciting, and I don't doubt that it will be a huge industry in the future, but I don't trust T-Mobile to lead this new industry. T-Mobile has shown very anti-consumer practices that they disguise as benefits. T-Mobile's binge on service provided customers with unlimited data to online services like Netflix and YouTube, and this was exactly what net neutrality was protecting people from. On the surface, it may seem like a benefit, but T-Mobile was basically providing you with limited unlimited data and making you pay more for accessing sites and services that they weren't partnered with. How is that in any way pro-consumer? Making Making people pay to access small business sites and services online while giving them unlimited access to larger companies is not only anti-consumer, but it's anti-small business. They no longer have this binge on service since now they only offer T-Mobile One plan, which is just unlimited data without the stipulation. But now with net neutrality gone, what's stopping them from reverting back to their old ways? They are also knowingly creating a monopoly where they will be the only ISP providing the 5G service, and they said this in the actual video announcing their merger.
Global tech leadership for the next decade is at stake, and only the new T-Mobile will have the network and spectrum capacity to quickly create a broad and deep 5G network in the first few years of the 5G innovation cycle. Listen, only T-Mobile and Sprint can do this together. We can't do this separately, and neither can Verizon or at&t nor any of the other new players. In fact, for Verizon and at&t to build a truly nationwide 5G, they either have to kick customers off LTE, which would take years, or build on their millimeter wave spectrum, which, get this, would cost roughly $1.5 trillion to cover the US nationwide. No one company has the breadth and depth of clear spectrum truly required to do this quickly, except new T-Mobile.
I don't know what else to say, but this is a very bad thing for consumers. If they do end up being the first to have a grasp on 5G, they will control the market and it will drop from 4 big carriers to only 1. That's my take on the whole situation. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can keep up with the latest gaming and tech news. Thanks for watching.